Right, welcome back. I am long overdue to make another one of these devlog videos because the last time I made one was months ago, and between then and now, there's been a lot of changes in LTX Industries. Some are pretty important, and I think that having that outdated video on my CurseForge page is just not doing it justice. There's also a lot of quite outdated info there too, so I really need to get something out here. Right, so let's get started. The biggest change that happened was that version 1 of the mod came out. I made the jump. There's been a few architectural changes. Uh, One in particular completely overhauled the upgrade system. And there's also been a lot of changes even within version 0, because the last video was of V0.19, but even before V1, I went up until V0.29, and actually a lot of the changes that I'm going to show off here are going to be from the V0 branch, and I think at the end I'll show the V1 changes because there's a few, but a lot of them are actually going to be from the older version. Now, before I get into the changes, I am going to address the unpopular news first. So, version 0 is and will remain the 1.21.1 branch of the mod. Version 1 exists only on 26.1. What is it called? The tiny takeover, I think. I don't know what it is. Version 26 of Minecraft. And V0, or yeah, the 1.21.1 branch will no longer be updated unless it is for some critical fix, which I don't think so. The mod's pretty stable. I am considering it to be in a finished state. So unless something major comes up, it's it's done. V 0.29.1 is the last version for Minecraft 1.21.1. So yeah. And yes, I know about aeronautics. That does not change my decision. If you've been following this mod since the beginning, I am not one to exactly, I guess if you want to view it that way, make the smartest choices of what versions I target, but it is what it is. All right. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the changes. Because I don't write things down, I'm going to take a look at the item list just to kind of refresh my memory here. I did say I'm going to start with the changes that, and by the way, most of these that I'm about to say are in the 1.21.1 branch, because like I said, uh, there was a lot of changes to that branch that still made it on before I discontinued it, so just keep that in mind. Did I? Hang on. Okay, so big news. No, the last video did not have the Wonderland armor. Okay, yeah, I really was behind on these update logs. So let's get the Wonderland armor. I won't get the guns. These at least have brand new models. This is exclusive to 26.1, so I'm not gonna cover them yet. Although it's mainly cosmetic. There's nothing changed much. Oh, we do have a new weapon though. But let me not get ahead of myself. Let's get the drill. I guess this too. It doesn't really matter. There's no point in these. Okay, so I did say that I'm gonna go over the armor, but I'm just gonna really quickly pass these over. These are the turrets. They're completely redesigned. Oh, and we have a new one, the Ionos turret. This is a lightning turret. It shocks things. So this is the Atmos and the Noctis. These have not changed at all in terms of function, only their appearance. And I am actually gonna I have an active one down here just so I can show it off. And I apologize in advance that this log is going to be all over the place. Like I said, I was about to talk about the armor and I got sidetracked. Yeah. Well, that's enough for you to get the idea. This is a lightning turret. And this by default, because I don't know if the upgrades for these existed last video. They might or may not have, but I don't think they were. So I am going to pull these out. Now they're called something else in V0, but yeah, they're mostly the same. The only difference here is that this is part of the V1 updates, that they're no longer split between machine and equipment upgrades, but you can change targeting on turrets. And let me get out of here so I don't have to be listening to that. Now, you know that the rocket turret, the Atmos turret, targets flying mobs, and the Noctis turret targets bosses or high threat mobs, whatever. This targets all hostile mobs. Now, those are their default targeting presets. You can change these. I only have these upgrades defined, and again, these exist in V0. They're, again, just call something else. This one they're similar to the ones for that existed for the weapons. So this targets neutral enemies and above, and this targets actively hostile and above. And this targets everything. So the one down there actually has this upgrade installed, which isn't really necessary unless you want your lightning turret to kill everything, not just hostile mobs. But these other two are quite handy for these, because these are very selective in what they target. But if you want the rocket turret or the railgun turret to target a lot more things, these are definitely your go-to. Maybe not the railgun turret, because the railgun turret is, you can, but it's really specialized in its energy use, its range, and fire rate for higher threats. So there's that. Now, the machines have not changed, except in terms of appearance. The grinder has a new model. Uh, everything that was in the basic frame has a new model, basically, except the assembler, but it's probably easier for me to find out which ones have a new model. The grinder does. It also has small animation, which, sure, I'll show it here a bit. Yes, it has small animation. The electrocentrifuge has a new model. The mixer, this is the Voltaic injector, actually. I already forgot how it looks like. Yeah, I don't remember how it looked like. I'm just gonna assume that it's a pretty big improvement. This is the new Chem Lab. Again, it looks, in my opinion, a lot better. The assembler did not change, and neither did the geosynthesizer, or the fabricator, or the auto fabricator. Neither did the biogarden. Now, this is the repair station. Now, this exists in V0 as the molecular reconstructor. However, in V1, the 26.1 version, I removed the molecular reconstructor and added this, the repair station. It's the same thing, except it's just well, apart from looking different, it's just a single block. It's not a double block like the Bio Auto Garden or the turrets. So that's, I guess, a minor but breaking change. And that's okay. I won't go into my justification until I reach the upgrade system, and this is the upgrade station. It's just, it got renamed from equipment. Is it equipment upgrade station? I don't remember. Point is, this is how you modify the equipment now. It's just a rename and a different appearance. So back to the armor. This is again new since the last video, and so are these. Are these new textures? Not all of them are new. I think the brush, the fishing rod, and the lighter are new. Everything else already had that retexture. This is the guide tablet. This is now like a permanent item. It's not guide me's item. It's an item that I actually added into the mod itself. And even if you don't have guide me installed, this item still exists. It's just that if you try opening it, it'll just give you an error message that says you don't have guide me installed, and you have to install it to be able to read the guide. So let's get this. Let's go back out here. So right off the bat, you should notice something different. That indicator on the side that says normal can be toggled to off, slow, normal, fast, and turbo. This is, if you're familiar with Mechanism's atomic disassembler, their energy pickaxe, whatever it's called. It has an adjustable speed, and so does this. This wasn't there before. It is now, and funnily enough, this does stack with efficiency, which I honestly wonder why I didn't remove it. It's kind of redundant now, because you can just put turbo and it'll... And this is not upgraded, by the way. This is just the base drill. It insta-mines. So, and of course it's normal. Again, the normal speed hasn't changed. Or if it did, it not much now. Slow, obviously, slows it down a lot. Off, off will work, and a little, I guess, extra quality of life. I don't know if you can call it that. And when it's off in creative, it will not break blocks, similar to swords. That with swords don't break blocks in creative. If anything else, then yeah, it'll break. But yes, fast is obviously fast, and I already showed turbo. So as it pertains to these tools, that's their new behavior. Now this is available on the drill, then anything that's considered a modular mining item. So it's the drill, the shovel, axe, and the hoe. I'm pretty sure these are the only ones that have this variable speed thing. The rest do not. So there's that. These are just retextures. They don't have any new functions or anything like that. So now finally, let's get into the armor, because this is probably the biggest feature that I worked on. It's quite complex, although maybe not. It depends, I guess, on the way you view it. But let's wear it. For starters, I think it looks very cool. It has a lot of these holographic effects, ephemeras, I call them. I totally just ripped that word off of Warframe, but anyways, that's how it looks. And when you fly in creative, you get these wing effects, and when you're not flying, you don't get them. So by default, and I have to be a little pedantic about this, because I say by default the armor doesn't do anything, and that's correct. The only thing the armor does is give you diamond level damage reduction, armor protection, that is. But and it doesn't use energy to do this. It's a passive effect, and I think you can, yeah, you see it here. It's +3 armor plus. Okay, ignore the rest. I'll explain in a bit. It's armor like +6, +3, +8. You know, diamond level. So the others are from these. Now, I did say I was going to be a little pedantic about it, because yes, the armor by itself doesn't do anything, but it does come with, you know, the default upgrades. These are the intrinsics, just like the weapons when you make them in the fabricator. And I just felt the need to point out that it doesn't do anything by default, because remember that upgrades are data pack objects. So if these are removed or changed, what the armor is going to do by default. If it does anything, it's going to vary. Now, I suspect that most packs are not going to modify this, so I guess you can safely assume that these four will always be there with the armor. So let's start with the head. The head blocks vision debuff effects and it costs 1 energy actions. Now, energy actions, you can think of it as a durability equivalent for my equipment, energy-wise. So let's take a look at the armor. They all share the same base energy storage in use. They store 125,000 and they use 500. So if you're following with the logic, 1 energy use, is that what it's called now? 1 energy actions is going to be 500. That's it. So 2 energy actions would be 1,000, so on, so on. So with that covered, let's go back to the upgrades. The head blocks vision debuff effects, and that is, I don't know if nausea is in there. I think it is, but for sure it's blindness and darkness, and maybe nausea. It blocks them. So this is a pretty much mandatory if you're going to be fighting the warden, and if you don't have bubble shield or you don't want to waste your bubble shield. But yeah, this is mandatory for that. The chest module has +1 block and entity interaction range. Now, I'm not sure why I picked this. I think it's because I couldn't think of anything else that wasn't kind of too powerful just for being built in. So yeah, there's the legs. The legs are actually kind of a bit stacked. So you get blocking of movement debuff effect, so slowness and I don't remember, but and yeah, it costs 1 energy action just like the helmet. You do get passive plus 10% speed and passive +1 water movement efficiency. So this is about the equivalent of Death Strider 3. And finally, the feet. The feet, you are immune to hot floor damage, and this is a passive effect. So magma blocks, basically. I think that's the only source, at least with vanilla content. You get +1 step height, similar to the Aurora, and these last two, I'll explain why they're not redundant. You get +5 safe fall distance, and also the boots, the feet cancels falls, and this costs 1 energy actions, and it does not scale with distance or anything. It's just if it cancels a fall, it uses 1 energy action, and if it doesn't have enough energy, it won't cancel your fall. Just FYI. So if you're wondering what the safe fall distance is for, because the safe fall distance by default is very, very low, and I'm sure you've noticed if whenever you're exploring and you're a serial jumper, you know that if you're jumping everywhere, you're constantly taking like a quarter heart, half a heart of damage, because the distance that you can fall with is tiny. Now, where that matters is because, well, with the feet armor, you can cancel the falls, right? You're not going to take chip damage anymore. But that's also going to drain your energy a lot because you're going to be constantly blocking like 4 block falls or something. So that safe fall distance makes it so that you don't start taking damage from the falls until 5 more blocks than you normally would. So if you drop a long distance, you're still going to take damage, and if you have energy, it's going to cancel out. But it will just make it so that you're not constantly using your feet armor's energy by canceling 4 or 5 block falls. So that is all there is to that. And I will actually cover these modules. Let me get the highest rank. Rank 1 and rank 4. These are all armor upgrades. These are the defaults, so I will not cover them. This upgrade already existed. It's just also compatible with the armor pieces now. So Right. These two are the main upgrades that you're going to want to build. They're not built in; you have to make them. But this is the active protection unit, and it's six or more like 6.25%. It just rounds down. Um, Non-void damage reduction, and it costs 1 energy action. This is at rank 1, um, not very effective, but the idea is that you level it up to rank 4 and you get 25% non-void damage reduction. And what that is pretty much any damage. Any damage that's not falling into the void or admin commands, this will stop it. Now, you see this is compatible with all the 4 pieces, and this stacks additively. So that's exactly what it sounds like when you have this at rank 4 and you install it on all the 4 pieces. You are invulnerable to practically 95% of damage sources in the game. You're also fully immune to knockback, because this also has knockback resistance as its secondary passive, and knockback resistance is not uh it doesn't use energy. The protection does, though, and you see this one does actually scale. So this block 6.25%, it uses 1 energy action, but to block it's the 25%, the full amount, uses 4 energy actions. So you are definitely gonna want the energy upgrade for your armor. Otherwise, you're gonna chew through your energy. Now, I suppose that's not really a problem if you are um, using something like wireless charging, but even so, you're gonna want the energy. And next is the bubble protection unit. So this gives you +5 passive bubble shield. That's an attribute at rank 1 and +20 at rank 4. Now, let me talk a little bit about the bubble shield, because the bubble shield has changed aside from the fact that you can output it on all living entities with a command, which is LTX shield. Then you can select an entity here. You can also just put an amount and it targets you. So yeah, you have that shield set 0. Whoops, no. Right. So the shield, it works on entities now, and there's 2 ways that the shield can work on non-players, on any entity except the player. It acts as absorption, so it's a flat reduction. There's no damage cooldowns or anything. If it's basically a health buffer, and it will not damage gate. So if, let's say, you have a spider, yeah, let's say you have a spider, and it has a health of 20. The health doesn't even matter. The point is, if you have a spider and you give it a shield of 5, if you deal an attack that's 10 damage, it's gonna block 5 because that's the shield, and it's gonna let the remaining 5, bleed right through to the entity's health. There's no damage gating, and it also won't block status effects, as I don't think it will. So on non-players, the bubble shield is a lot weaker, and that is by design. On the players, the bubble shield is a lot stronger. So the player shields have their own invulnerability timer. And I think that the way that I coded them, and let me check because I'm really making a lot of assumptions here. And sorry about that, but it's been a long time since I've made this shield. Where is it? I'm looking at the code. Just give me a moment. Here it is. Player bubble shield. Yes, it does not. Okay. Yes, it does not. Um, there's a tag in Minecraft that bypasses invulnerability, which will bypass your iframes. Now, the shield iframes cannot be bypassed, like, at all. It does not respect that tag. So If you are dealing with something that bypasses your iframes, the shield is going to be a bit cheesy because it won't respect that. It will just, it has a, how long does it have? It has an invulnerability time of 20. So you're always going to get that. Now, the other thing about the player shield, and this only applies to players, I mentioned this, right? The passive bubble shield effect. So before, the way you could get shield was through the upgrade system, or rather, there was, I don't remember what it was called. It was like an on kill upgrade for the weapons, and it would give you a set amount of shield per kill. That can technically still exist. I just removed it because it's not really useful anymore, because it's now part of the armor, but the armor gives it to you passively. So let me explain what that means. Let me get the chest right. Mm, place this back on. It went from 17 or 16, whatever it was, to 20. Now, passive bubble shield, when you have that, if when you haven't taken damage for 5 seconds, your shield will automatically recharge to that level, which is what makes this upgrade very, very strong, and which is why I also made it, at least I think I made it expensive, but maybe not really. I don't know. It's really hard to gauge with these ingredients, but yeah, it will automatically recharge. So, and I forgot I have this, so I didn't even take damage. But if I had taken damage, uh, 5 seconds passes and then it recharges to full. Now, if you do take off your armor, now let me go into third person. You see that I don't have the shield around me, even though I have shield. That's because I added a change that if your shield is equal to your passive shield capacity, the shield will not render around you. I guess your shield is full, so to speak. If it's below that or above that, so if I take this off, it's rendering because it's active or whatever. I don't know, but yes. Now I still have the shield, and I think somebody mentioned this, that they thought this was a bug. This is not a bug. This is intended. It's a design choice I made because you can get shield that goes above your passive capacity, and that's going to be considered overshield. Now, I don't have a color for this, but um, right now those 20 points are no longer your passive shield. It's just overshield now. So, and there's no real way for me to track what's overshield and what isn't, or at least I don't really want to go that far. So all I did was, if you take this off, it does not remove the shield that you got. You get to keep it for free. It just won't regenerate. That's the thing. This, if I take damage, it'll stay that way. And since these others don't have passive shield capacity, it will just drain to zero and never recharge unless I put this back on. Oh, look, a zombie. Never mind. I cannot test because he's dead. And I think that's it for the armor. So these other upgrades are, this gives you saturation effect permanently. This is actually quite powerful. This gives you water breathing. Actually forgot one more. This is another one. This one's not that expensive, but this is night vision. This gives you night vision. And this is Fantasia rulebook. This gives you creative flight. So it's, no, I'm in creative, but if I'm in survival, it wouldn't work because I don't have the upgrade installed. But I mean, I might as well show it off. So let's see. I'm blind. It's not purple. And I can fly, and I get the ephemera effect. So, and I think that's it for the armor. I don't think there's anything more to cover because I covered all the upgrades. So now let's move on to the weapons. Now the weapons are, there's been a few. Now this change is exclusive to the new 26.1. So from now on, everything that I showcase here is going to be exclusive to the 26.1 version. The armor and most of the upgrades do exist on 1.21.1, and so do these tools and the machine models, with the only exception, as I said, being this. Although this machine actually still exists, it's just called something else and works slightly different. So every single one of the weapons has received a remodel, and there's also a new weapon, the Mirage, and this is an auto rifle because it was missing, but the Wayfinder, the Aurora, Hanabi, Daybreak, and Nova have not changed in the way they operate. Actually, that's not true. Hanabi has, but I'll not the weapon itself, more like the grenade. But let's start with the Wayfinder. Well, yeah, it has a new animation. Basically, all of these now have that rotating ornament thing, the chamber that the Hanabi has. Oh, the Wayfinder, other than that, it has not changed. The Serenity has a new sound effect. It sounds, I mean, maybe you might like it, you might not, but more than anything, it's actually accurate to its fire rate. The previous sound effects was not. It was, that sounded like a what, 800, maybe 900 RPM, but the Serenity is not that. The Serenity is 1200, which sounds like this. And also has a new firing animation as well. Now the Mirage is a new weapon. It is, if you can notice, it looks very similar to the Serenity, at least the frame, part of the frame, because it's kind of like the sister weapon. They also, Serenity also has a new name, 11PX, and the Mirage is 13CX. Now this is a 600 RPM weapon. Animation's a little scuffed, but oh well, that's just the nature of things when you have to deal with packets and synchronizations and stuff. So let me actually not get too close, because unlike the Mirage, unlike the Serenity, sorry, which has absolutely terrible range, but good DPS to make up with it, the Mirage has a range of 45 blocks compared to the Serenity's 12 and a half, I think. Or is it 15? I think it's 12 and a half. But point is, this has much longer reach, and it deals 4.5 points of damage. Not 4.5 hearts, 4.5 points, which is 2 1/4 hearts. Yes. And the Serenity deals 3. So this, I actually, this wasn't intentional, but this deals the same amount of damage per mag, like in total. So that's a neat little thing. Yeah, this, I think this by far has been the most useful of the weapons, because the other weapons are very strong, but they either have terrible range, in the case of the Aurora, or Bliss also has pretty bad range, but apart from the bad range, the ammo is absurdly rare. The Hanabi and Daybreak have better ranges, but again, their ammunition is exceedingly rare. This is the new model for the Daybreak, by the way. Let me just go one by one. This is Wayfinder's new model. Serenity, Mirage, Aurora, Hanabi, Daybreak, Nova. The Hanabi has not the weapon itself. The grenades have changed. They have a new model. They're no longer those little like orb mines. They're like actual grenade shells. Only the actually, only the fire grenade changed. So let me show it. Before, I think you know it created those like little 3x3 field of flames. Now it just creates a single field of flame. Lingers for quite a bit of time and still deals a lot of damage. Well, it's quite a bit more consistent too, because you don't have to worry about overlapping, like the 3x3 field of flames. Like, oh, is it touching one or two or three, four flames? It's just one field now. Of course, if you stack them, then that's different. But you don't have to worry about the overlapping the flames with just one shell. So the Nova hasn't changed either. It just works the same. Did I show the Stargazer? No, I did not. Again, this has not changed either, but it has a new model and has a cool little sight. It's obviously useless sounds harsh, but it's visual only. It doesn't, you can't aim down the sights or anything like in first person, but it's a nice little aesthetic choice there that I made. So that's it for the weapons. One more change, and this is by far the biggest one. And after this, I'm done. The upgrade modules. There's only one tab now, and you can see that there's no longer such a thing as equipment upgrades and machine upgrades. It's just upgrades now, and they work both on equipment and machines. Now, most of them have stayed either equipment or machine exclusive because it kind of makes no sense otherwise for them to be compatible with both. However, not all of them. Some of them are on both machines and equipment, namely this one actually, this one too. These two. I think that's it actually. Mostly these. Oh, also one thing, the fabricator. Now, you're probably gonna love this. This can now be searched. So, especially in bigger packs, or not even bigger packs, just in the base mod, there's a lot of recipes already, and there's probably going to be more added as I make more progress on the mod. But you don't have to look for things anymore. You can now just search. So if I want to make, well, the processors don't count, they're at the top, but let's pretend that they're not. Just search processor and it'll come out. And maybe I want to make a Mirage, so I just selected there, search and select for it. And the wireframe effect is slightly different, slightly more better looking. So there's that. And back to the upgrade system. Yeah, some of the upgrades, and there probably will be more in the future that I rework or consolidate into single upgrades. For example, this combat subspace link. If you remember the turret and the machine version, no, the turret and the equipment version, sorry, in V0 and 1.21.1, they were exactly the same. They just had to be separate because they were two registries. Now they're not. They're the same. They just now work on all of the weapons and all of the turrets. And it works the exact same way. Same thing with biometric obfuscation. This actually did not exist on the turrets, but I added them because why not? The system allows it, so I'm going to take advantage of that. The target filters, again, used to be separate. Now they're not. And that is it. Everything else has remained exclusive to either machines or equipment because, again, it's just most of these just don't make sense on both. But this does make it a lot more cleaner internally because I had to deal with a lot of not hacky stuff, but with generics. And if you know about Java generics, those are a bit of a pain to deal with sometimes. So I no longer have to do that anymore. So that's a big improvement on my end. And which I guess that's my last talking point. And I probably should have said this at the beginning on why I gave up the 1.21.1 branch. Two main reasons. One, obviously, because I'm lazy, and because I don't want to work on two major versions at once. So I am going to pick the forward one, the future one, because that's just to me that's the logical choice here. Um, and the second being that even if I do backport some of these changes, because I mean, I guess I can get some of these done in a weekend, but 1.21.1 is an established version already. Now there's no rule about this set in stone, but I think at this point, anyone with an established world just expects mods to not release a major update that would break their worlds, which all of these changes, or rather the upgrade changes and the no, the weapon model changes wouldn't affect it, but the upgrade changes would. Those would um those would wreck your world. I don't think it would make it unusable, but practically anything having to do with upgrades would disappear. All of your machines will no longer have upgrades, neither would your weapons. A lot of weapons would actually probably disappear because of decoding errors. They may not, but yeah, that's what would happen. And, there's no way for me to avoid that. So, because it's practically requiring a fresh start anyway, you might as well move to 26.1. So, that's my second reason. What's next on the roadmap for this mod is I don't know actually. I've been adding a lot of quality of life features like the fabricator search, for example, but um, other than that, right now I can't really think of anything. There's one suggestion that I got that is about the turrets and target selectors. I do realize that the upgrade system is suboptimal compared to how most other mods do it, which is just you type in like an entity tag or there's like buttons for blacklisting players, hostiles or whatever. Um, I will think about that. That would be a pretty significant change. I would have to dedicate quite some time to it. Not as much, not that much, but well, actually, no, I won't say that. Like, I want to do it right, so it would take quite a bit of time to like well, get it right. But I will look at that. I will consider implementing that. Um, as for new content, right now the I guess the main lacking point of the mod would be power generation. Now, I haven't felt the need to touch power generation because this mod is not meant to be played alone. If you're playing it alone, you're gonna struggle quite a bit. Namely, one, because it has no power generation. It has no pipes or anything, and pipes I can for sure say will probably never make it to this mod. They are very complex to code properly. The emphasis on properly. I could half-ass some cables, but I'm not going to do that. Um, so just use pipes or mechanisms or I don't know, thermal. Oh no, not thermal dynamics. That's stuck on 1.20. Um, I don't know, A2, I guess. But the other plan change is a remodel of this because this has some rendering bugs because of the way uh, big models like these are handled. And I want to add resource generation, but again, I need to actually plan out how I want to do that, and that's going to take a while. So I guess in the meantime, I'll just be brainstorming. I don't know if I want a like a bedrock miner or something else, but in the meantime, again, I'll just be throwing ideas out. Something will eventually stick. Um, but yeah, that's it for this video. Until the next time.